So here's kind of a weird one, but it's a nice little break from some of the stuff we've been working on. We're going to be doing the trig of any point on an angle. So here's what's happening. You'll be given a point, and let's just call it xy for now. Okay, so let's just say it's somewhere out here. Okay, so this is x comma y. And you're going to be told, well, the terminal side of your angle goes through that point. So we'll draw that. And we have our angle right here then, right? Because it goes from the x-axis. Now, remember, we always talk about that reference angle. This in here is really our reference angle that we look to make our triangle, because that's where the angle would be. It wouldn't be outside. But anyway, what's happening is that xy value is telling you your x value here, your y value here, and then you have this r value. But the problem is, we know the x value, we know the y value because we're told that in the point, but we don't know the r value. And if I want to find the sine of the angle, I need to go the opposite y over the r value. And I'm not necessarily on the unit circle here, so I actually have to find r. Well, what's good for us is that we have a right triangle, which means we can do the Pythagorean theorem, right? X squared plus y squared equals r squared. Okay, and so then we just have to go through that, figure out what r is, and then we can figure out all of these, because then cosine would be the adjacent over the hypotenuse, tangent would be the opposite over the adjacent, and then the reciprocals would be, of course, the reciprocals of all these. Okay, so then it's just a matter of figuring out what r is so that we can do this. So I think the best thing to help you figure this out is to look at an example. All right, so here I have this example of 4, -8. So let me draw that picture. Okay, we've got 4 on the x-axis, -8 on the y-axis, so there's my point. Okay, I draw in the triangles. So technically my angle's here, but because I'm not in the first quadrant, I have to use my reference angle. Okay. And so I know this is 4 and this is -8. And so then I need my r value. And so to figure that out, I do the Pythagorean theorem. So we've got 4 squared plus -8 squared gives me r squared. So we've got 16 plus 64 equals r squared. 16 plus 64 gives me 80. Okay, now here's where you guys are going to want to do, you're going to want to plug this in a calculator and figure out the square root of 80 is to get your answer, but I do not want decimals, you guys. What I want you to do is I want you to figure out, let's see here, sorry about that. I want you to figure out what you can get out of here and simplify it the best you can. Now 80 is 16 times 5. So the square root of 16 is 4. So r equals 4 square roots of 5. Okay, so that's what I'm going to put there. So be very careful about that. I don't want decimals. I want that simplified. Okay, and now I can actually go through and find the rest of my stuff. So sine of our angle is the opposite, -8 over the hypotenuse, 4 square roots of 5. Oh boy, now we have to rationalize this. 4 goes in 8 twice, so I'm going to get -2 root 5 over 5. Now cosecant is going to be, go back to the original before I rationalized. The 4 and the 8 still cancel, so I'm going to have a negative root 5 over 2. Then I have the cosine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, the 4's cancel. I rationalize, so I get root 5 over 5. This is positive, which makes sense. Cosine is the x value. That's positive in this quadrant. And then we have secant, which is just the reverse. I'm going to go back, though. I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to flip that over after I've canceled. So I just get the square root of 5. And then tangent, this is the easy one. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, which gives me -2. And cotangent is flip that over, and I get -1/2. All right, so that's how you do that. Make sure you find the r, make sure you simplify the r appropriately, and then make sure you pay attention to negatives and whether or not your answer should be negative or not, because sometimes that negative can get lost in there, or you can add another one by mistake. Good luck.